The phone buzzed against my hip, a sharp vibration that cut through the chaos of the training drill. I was crouched behind a plywood barricade, barking orders at two rookie SWAT trainees, their faces slick with sweat as they fumbled through a mock breach. "Keep your ankles tight," I snapped, gripping a rubber training knife. "You're not storming a barn, focus." Then the buzz came again, insistent, pulling my attention. I ignored it at first. Distractions get you killed in this line of work, but when it pulsed a third time, I yanked the phone from its holster. The screen lit up with a motion alert from my home security system. I tapped the live feed, expecting a raccoon or maybe another porch pirate eyeing my packages. Instead, my blood turned to ice. A flashlight beam sliced across my living room wall, slow and deliberate, like a predator stalking prey. The camera adjusted, and there he was, a wiry man in a cheap tactical vest labeled Neighborhood Watch, creeping past my couch with the stealth of a discount store ninja. Two others trailed him, a woman with a walkie-talkie clipped to her belt, and a guy in a bucket hat that screamed, "Weekend fisherman." My jaw tightened. This wasn't a burglary. This was Marla's vigilante squad, and they just kicked in the wrong door. Let me back up. My name's Ethan Caldwell, and for nearly 2 decades, I've trained SWAT teams, federal agents, and private security forces to handle situations most people only see in movies. After years of kicking in doors and dodging bullets, I traded the field for a quieter gig, teaching tactical theory and running drills from a modest house in a sleepy suburb called Willow Creek. I bought the place for peace room for my German Shepherd, Titan, a backyard for training, and zero drama. Willow Creek seemed perfect. Neat lawns, white picket fences, and neighbors who waved politely but minded their own business. That is, until Marla Vance took over the Homeowners Association like a general seizing a war-torn country. Marla wasn't your average HOA tyrant. She was a force of nature, a middle-aged woman with a perm as rigid as her worldview and a laminated badge proclaiming her community oversight director. She carried a whistle she'd blow during mailbox disputes and a clipboard she wielded like a scepter. Her latest obsession? A civilian safety alliance. A glorified neighborhood watch she'd spun into her personal militia. She claimed Willow Creek was teetering on the edge of chaos. Never mind that the worst crime here was a kid spray painting a smiley face on a stop sign. To Marla, every flickering porch light was a signal of impending doom, and my house, with its blackout curtains and motion sensors, was her ground zero. I kept to myself. My backyard training sessions were low-key, non-lethal drills, fitness routines, and the occasional tactical seminar for off-duty cops. All legal, all permitted. But to Marla, my security cameras and locked shed screamed criminal enterprise. When I told her I trained law enforcement, she smirked and said, "So, like a mall cop?" I let it slide. No point arguing with someone who thought her HOA handbook trumped the Bill of Rights. Trouble started brewing 3 weeks before the break-in. A neon yellow notice appeared on my door, demanding a voluntary safety audit of my property. The word voluntary was in quotes, and the fine print warned that refusal could trigger escalation measures. I shredded it and tossed it in the trash, figuring Marla would move on to harassing someone else about their lawn gnomes. I was wrong. 2 nights later, I caught her and her lackey-sure son Dylan, a wannabe tough guy with a Call of Duty obsession, and a nervous woman named Cheryl snapping photos of my driveway at midnight. While I confronted them, Marla flashed a smile that could curdle milk. "Just ensuring compliance," she chirped. "Some of us care about safety." I told her to get off my property. She pretended not to hear. The night of the break-in, I was 20 miles away at the training facility, wrapping up the drill when the alert hit. The live feed showed Marla's crew inside my house, poking through my bookshelves, rifling drawers, and most infuriatingly opening Titan's food bin like they expected to find a stash of contraband kibble. My first instinct was to race home, but I forced myself to think like the tactician I was. I dismissed the trainees, claiming an urgent case study, and called the police, reporting trespassers without mentioning my background. I wanted this clean, no room for Marla to spin it as a misunderstanding. Then I floored it, my truck eating up the highway as I triggered the silent alarm on my app. I reached Willow Creek in under 10 minutes, parking a block away to avoid tipping them off. Slipping through the back gate, I moved silently, years of training kicking in. The garage door was my entry point. Inside, I could hear them in the kitchen, bickering over whether they could legally cut the lock on my shed. Dylan was waving a pair of bolt cutters like a kid with a new toy. I flicked the breaker, plunging the house into darkness. They yelped like startled dogs. From the shadows, I spoke, my voice low and steady, the tone I used to freeze recruits mid-drill. You are trespassing in a private residence. Drop your tools, exit the house, and lie on the ground. This is your only warning. Marla squealed. We're authorized personnel. Dylan, predictably, made a run for it. I flipped on the hallway strobia disorienting light rig from my training setup and he slammed into the wall with a thud, collapsing in a heap. The others scrambled for the door, but I was already there, flashlight in hand, pinning them in the beam. Down, I said. Cheryl dropped instantly, whimpering. The guy in a bucket hat, Greg, froze, hands up like he was in a bad cop show. Marla stood defiant, clutching her clipboard. I know my rights, she barked. And you violated mine, I said, stepping closer. Breaking and entering, tampering with private property. Ring any bells? She faltered, the bolt cutters clattering to the floor. Minutes later, red and blue lights flashed in my driveway. The first officer out of the cruiser was Sergeant Ramirez, a former trainee of mine. He gave me a quick nod, keeping it professional. Marla, oblivious, stormed toward him, waving her badge. Officer, thank God. This man's running a dangerous operation. Backyard training. Locked sheds, the works. We were protecting the neighborhood. Ramirez didn't flinch. I handed him my phone, the footage already queued up. Marla's voice blared. Cut the lock. He's probably hiding weapons. The silence that followed was deafening. Ramirez turned to her, eyebrow raised. So, you entered a private home without permission, with tools and intent to cause damage? Marla stammered, her clipboard trembling. It was a wellness check. No, I said, voice like steel. It was burglary. Dylan groaned from the floor, clutching his forehead. Cheryl was sobbing. Greg looked like he wanted to vanish into the wallpaper. Ramirez called for backup, and soon Marla and her crew were separated, statements taken, and cuffs considered. I showed the officers the footage, my ID, and explained my work. Ramirez barely hid a grin when he realized who I was. You trained my whole unit, he said. Did they have permission to enter? I shook my head. Marla's face crumpled. By morning, Willow Creek was ablaze with gossip. A blurry video of Marla being escorted out by police hit the neighborhood group chat, captioned, Marla's militia busted a tactician's house. The chat exploded. Neighbors I'd never met shared stories. Marla finding a retiree for suspicious bird feeders, tailing a jogger for wearing shady sunglasses, even accusing a kid of vandalism for chalk drawings. Her reign of terror, built on petty rules and intimidation, was unraveling. The next day, a black SUV pulled up to my curb. My old friend Marcus, now with the FBI, stepped out, grinning. Heard you had a party, he said. Over coffee, I showed him the footage and something else, a binder Marla's crew left behind. It was a surveillance log, detailing neighbors' readiness steam stamps, photos, notes like Jenkins leaves at 5 a.m., possible smuggling, and teen and hoodie, gang ties. Marcus's face darkened. This isn't just trespassing, he said. It's illegal surveillance, maybe even stalking. If she used HOA fund for this, she's done. I sent the footage and an anonymous tip to a local news blog. By evening, the headline read, HOA tyrant or suburban spy, Marla's illegal raid on Trainer's home. Reddit picked it up, and soon our /entitled people was flooded with memes of Marla as commander of the cul-de-sac. The HOA board called an emergency Zoom meeting, which leaked online. Marla claimed the footage was edited by hackers, but when I shared the unedited video, her excuses collapsed. 2 board members quit, and a third, a no-nonsense retiree named Ellen, called Marla's actions lunacy. The board voted to investigate her use of HOA funds, suspecting she'd bankrolled her patrol with community dues. Marla didn't go quietly. She held a press conference on her lawn, megaphone in hand, addressing 2 neighbors and a stray cat. She ranted about shadow conspiracies and tactical bullying, but her audience dispersed when a mailman fled. The city launched a formal probe, and investigators, including another former trainee, visited her home. Neighbors started visiting me, offering cookies and gratitude. One, an elderly vet named Harold, said, "I can finally mow my lawn without her measuring my grass blades." The real turning point came at a packed community meeting. Marla arrived with 2 teens in HOA recon polos, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. She claimed I'd invited her crew for a security drill, but I handed Ellen a flash drive. The footage played. Marla ordering the lock cut, Dylan crashing into the wall, her demanding bomb supplies be found. The room gasped. A retired cop named Vernon stood, holding a forensic report. "The audio's real," he said. "This is criminal." Marla was voted out as HOA chair. Her safety alliance disbanded. She stood frozen, her empire in ruins. The city's hearing sealed her fate. I testified calmly, letting the evidence speak. Footage, logs, emails. Marla's lawyer tried to spin it as overzealous community care, but Ellen countered, "You mean breaking into a trainer's home?" The judge ruled Marla violated multiple laws: trespassing, impersonation, harassment. She was fined, barred from HOA roles for a decade, and ordered to apologize publicly. At the next HOA meeting, she delivered a stiff, lawyer-drafted letter, but in the margin, her handwriting admitted, "I was wrong." Life in Willow Creek normalized. Ellen took over as HOA chair, running it with fairness and no drama. I consulted on a legit security plan: cameras, not clipboards. One of Marla's teen recruits, a kid named Jake, showed up to apologize. I put him to work fixing my gate and offered to teach him real tactics. He's learning slowly. Marla's house is quiet now, blinds drawn, her car rarely moving. Some say she's moving. Others say she's plotting. I don't care. I sip iced tea on my porch, tighten to my feet, watching kids bike past and neighbors wave. Marla thought she could break into my world and walk away. She didn't know I trained the people who stop threats far worse than her. And now, she'll never forget it. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.